A win's a win. We're going to talk about it. You're on the Hoops Cap.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
I'm a little frustrated. Let me tell you right now, UConn won the game 86-84. But if you're walking out of this one feeling great, I don't know if you watched the last 15 minutes of the game. This game was a perfect example of why UConn has to keep taking care of business, because when you leave anything in the hands of officials, you're asking for chaos. UConn goes up 20, dominating the game, owning the glass, dictating pace. BYU can't get anything. Can't get into their sets. AJ DeMonsa frustrated. BYU's wings are gasping for air. They're not playing fast, and I'll get to that in a second because that was a frustrating aspect of it too. It was over until it wasn't. And then if you look at the flow of what happens next, I charted this at the 14:55 mark with just 7 minutes into the second half. It goes just like this. I'm not joking. You can look this up. Go to the game. Go to the box score if you want. From the 14:55 mark to go for 7 straight minutes, it goes foul, foul, sub, foul, turnover, foul, 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 another foul, DeBonsa to the line again and again and again. This game was taken over by officials in the second half at about 5 minutes into the second half. And the broadcasters were sitting there talking about fatigue late in the half and pace of play, slowing things down, as if they've never watched UConn play basketball before. In the Dan Hurley era, historically, UConn's pace of play is 300s and above. Right now, I think it's 325. They're on a track meet team. This isn't the Tennessee women or Kentucky with Mark Pope or IU Indy. Hurley uses pace like a throttle. Speed up to break. If they get transition, they take it, but they run sets because it's a slow, suffocating pace. My old colleague from the Locked On days, Dan Meehan, used to call it a boa constrictor, and that's 1,000% correct. And BYU throws out this soft, slow it down, 1-2-1-1 press. And a lot of times, and I'm not calling BYU a mid-major, but mid-major teams do that to slow down, to decrease possessions against high major teams, because it keeps you in the 20s at the shot clock. It's actually a really smart play. And boy, did they blow the whistle on top of that. If you want the truth, if this was a pickup game, UConn would have called BYU soft 100 times for the way they were hunting contact and flailing and begging for continuation, possession extenders, bailouts, momentum killers. And it worked because the officials gave them 75% of the calls. Meanwhile, AJ DeMonsa, who was phenomenal, tip of the cap, becomes unguardable when you're allowing him to live at the line, plus you're giving him a continuation. He looked like a top 5 pick on steroids. That's where my frustration lies. Because head-to-head, coach-to-coach, these two teams aren't close. The score is close, but when UConn actually gets to play basketball, they dominated BYU. They imposed their will. Even when Kebakita was on the floor, Terrace Reed was dominating him at that time too. But the minute the game becomes a foul parade, all the advantage disappears because that pace of play starts to kind of diminish because you can't get into your sets. The flow of the game starts. Like, why didn't Raph, or I don't even know who the play-by-play guys, never heard him before. Why didn't one of them say, UConn's a really good offensive team. Historically, they have a really good flow. Where were those guys to say, why has this kind of slowed down? Is it because they're getting constant fouls? Is it because they're not going down low enough? Whatever. Because when you look at the numbers of what this team shot, from the floor. You'd think they won this game by 100 points. UConn. Let's take a look at that real quick. I have it here in a second. Give me 1 second. They shot 57% from the floor and 44% from three. They were out rebounded 28-27. So it wasn't like it was basically a tie. Turnovers were similar, 16-14. So what was the difference, guys? You're going to sit here and tell me that BYU outplayed UConn in the second half, and that's why, and AJ DeBonsa was the greatest player in the world? Sure. When you give him all the advantages. I mean, hell, if I do a 40-yard dash against Tyreek Hill, but I start at the 5-yard line to the end zone and he starts at the 40, I'm going to beat him. And I'm going to go, woo, look at that. I beat Tyreek Hill today. That's what the second half was. And people will say to me, oh, you're blaming the officials, blah, 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 blah. No, just chart it. I did it in the second half. When it started to happen, I could feel the change. And that's why I'm pissed, because UConn earned a cleaner double-digit win. That helps them in the long run. The Big East has suffered some of these bullshit games. Down the stretch, I was watching the Butler SMU game, and I felt like that whistle was awful too. It almost feels as if there's a clear conspiracy to essentially say, if you're not in a P4 that has football, your team is, you're up Schitt's Creek. And that's not what the Big East is. The Big East is a fantastic league when it's done correctly. And we'll get into that another time. So let's get back to this game. UConn earned this win in a much cleaner fashion. They played like they were the better team. They prepared like the better team. They executed at every part of the game better. Did they have a couple of shitty turnovers? I joked around. My buddy was just like, oh, man, Malachi stepped on the line. I'm like, dude, are we sure? Listen, here's the wonderful thing about the NFL product. When we go watch the NFL tomorrow and you're watching my shitty Giants or a shitty Dolphins team or whoever you like, and a guy steps out of bounds, you know what you get? You get a clear sideline view and you go, oh yeah, there he was stepping out of bounds. In college basketball, we just have to trust the geriatric dudes that have worse vision than anybody that you're trying to tell me that you're 1,000% sure that Malachi Smith was on the sideline. It's entertainment. These guys are human. They want to be a part of the show. It's why James Breeding gets off at having a conversation with Dan Hurley at half court, and they have a little exchange because, I'm in the picture now, and I'm going to talk to Dan Hurley now. So don't just spare me the whole you're blaming it all on the officials. That was the entire second half. You could say AJ DeBonsa played great, but the entire second half was marred by how many times? I'll give you a great example of a play. All of these add up to the reason why UConn only wins by 2 points. Jay Ross, they get a great press breaker, and they throw it to Jay Ross in the corner. He goes from the sideline and dunks, and as he's dunking, the guy comes across and hits him right in the elbow, on the arm. In any other scenario, they call a foul that's an and one. He goes to the line. Maybe he makes the free throw, maybe he doesn't. But those are momentum adders on the other side. Everything was done the opposite direction. If it was an unnecessary foul, you didn't get it. If it was a necessary, or they felt like it was excessive, or they just felt like an anticipatory foul, they called it on BYU. So instead of closing this thing out by 10 or by 12, they have to sweat it out down the stretch. Kept the refs 1,000% BYU kept BYU in the game, on top of an incredible performance by AJ DeBonsa and Richie Saunders and others. A win's a win, but this one should have never been in doubt. And that's what pisses me off, because if we have to do this 1,000 times this year, it's almost the reason why I know that Dan Hurley tries to get these bulletproof basketball teams, because when you go into these situations and you are leaving it up to officials, he's never going to be the favored one. It's just never going to happen. That's the bottom line. All right. We got a million comments in here. I'm going to see if people want to jump in. But that was my pissed off 10-minute monologue. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put the link in the chat. If you want to jump in, you're more than welcome to. Let's do it right now. I got the first one right here. Is from Jose. Jose, you're 1,000% right. But I'll give you a great example. If you're not getting a consistent whistle like you got in the first half, how do you get sloppy? Because of that. It's a cause and effect thing. I'm just saying. You can't tell me otherwise. I could show you 10 examples. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to kind of put this up on a screen, but that's just the reality. I appreciate the comment, but it just isn't the truth. I see Tyler backstage, but his mic isn't on. If you get that figured out, Tyler, I'll get you squared away. Let's see. I'm only going to respond as that. Anybody else want to jump on? A win's a win, 1,000%. I agree. Hey, anyone else here want to talk shit about Alex Caravan? You want to hear his stat line tonight? Just throwing it out there. 8 of 11 from the floor, made all 4 of his threes, all from the 3-point line that was beyond the NBA mark. 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 39 minutes. Yeah. Change his shot. He sucks, right? Unbelievable. Let's get Tyler in here. There he is. What's up, my dude?
What up, dude? It's been a while.
It's been a long time. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah.
Logo off your face. There you go.
Yeah. I'm a lot more optimistic. I'm a lot more happy than you are.
I'm optimistic. I'm just pissed off about the way it ended. I thought they played great. Dude, if you look at these numbers, the Ken Palm numbers, they're going to move way up.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy efficient.
I thought, what we didn't see, what we didn't see last year, we didn't see these stretches of dominance. And that's what we saw the entire first half.
Yes.
It's a dominant Hurley basketball team. They were awesome on defense. And then they come in the second half, and then minute 15, they were up 20 points, and they were still playing well until minute 12, and you could tell they were just coasting on offense. And I agree, the whistle was totally different in the second half than it was in the first half. And that happened too. I remember the national championship game with Houston, Florida. It was no fouls in the first half. Houston had 4 fouls, and in the second half they got whistled for 18 fouls. It was ridiculous. So I don't know what that is about. But at the end of the day, we can't or they can't get upset with the refs, right? That's out of their control. They have to figure out a way to keep running their offense. And Hurley did not have them prepared to break that press. So that's something that they need to figure out going into the next game, because I'm sure as hell Arizona is going to see this and probably pressure them. And they should be able to figure that out, right?
But I'll be honest with you, Tyler. I feel like the press was done initially to just get them out of a rhythm, and it worked a little bit. It's kind of like when a mid-major is losing their way against a high major team in the NCAA tournament, they'll throw that little junk press at them to kind of so that you have to run your offense in 18 seconds versus 27, right? So it also takes away possessions. So I'll give Kevin Young a ton of credit. That is actually part of the reason, on top of the foul situation, why they had more possessions at the end of the game to make this comeback. Because if it just gets out of hand, there's not enough time to do it. But if you shrink the possessions on their side and you go faster on your side, then there's a recipe for a comeback.
Well, it did create at least 3 turnovers, I think.
Sure.
But generally, I feel very optimistic. Silas was big in the moments that we need him to be big. Solo had that big rebound.
1,000%. Solo's
not shooting well. We still have Braylon Mullins in the back pocket that we haven't, deployed yet. So I'm very optimistic of what I saw in that first half. Keep in mind we have new point guards, right? Malachi and Silas. They're Tristan Newton was just ice cold in those moments, right? When the team gets it down to 6, he just takes to the hoop, gets the and 1, and it's back up to 9. And we did see that with Silas. So I was getting nervous there, but then that possession when Silas got the and 1, he missed the free throw.
Yeah.
And Solo got the 2 free throws after that. I thought the game was over at that point.
Yeah.
They were up 8, a minute and a half left, and then somehow, or 9, and it came back. So there's definitely things they need to work on, just being better under pressure. But I think it was a jittery game. You saw in the beginning, right? You saw in the first 3-4 minutes of the game, there was a lot of jitters. Alex played amazing. I think I would have been really disappointed if they lost. They got out with a win, and I think they're going to be amped up to going back home to play Arizona on Wednesday. So I feel pretty good.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you, man. Like, I think for me, I wanted to mention this because about the officiating, because it mars the I don't, if you come on this and you don't mention the officiating and how that changed the complexion of the entire game, then I don't think you're actually paying attention. I think you're just being completely negative, because I'm saying, like, for the people in the chat, they're like, well, maybe we should have done X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, maybe you don't really understand like how the flow of the game works. If the first half you're doing one thing, and the second half it completely changes, and you don't really have the direction that you started off with.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, that was the biggest issue. Is like, you could also point to 1,000% the positives of this are that's why you bring in Silas Demery Jr., because at the end of the game he was the closer. We didn't have that last year.
Yeah.
People are in the chat like going crazy. Well, Alex Caravan, didn't, was more controlled going to the basket this year. It's like, do you know why? Because the spacing's better, because there's more opportunity for him to do that.
Right.
Like, it's just like, it just reveals that people don't actually watch the game the way that I feel like you and I watch the game, which is just like, we're looking at
a lot of casual
the pluses and minuses.
Yeah. No, I think, I think, Jaden Ross played well. Like, Jaden Ross is really not playing. He's just hitting his shots now, and that's exactly what he needs to do, right? He needs to, when he gets his opportunity, when he gets that open shot or he gets an opportunity to dunk, he just needs to make play, and he's doing that, and that is huge. And I think we're going to get Mullins back. Yeah, I saw someone commenting about like, oh, we don't need Mullins if Jaden Ross is going 3 for 3. Well, that having Mullins there just like changes the whole dynamic of the offense.
If you have Mullins in there today, it literally they probably drop like 110 points because of the spacing that he provides.
And just ripping off. He's a second solo and a guy that can get to the hoop and make a floater. It's like he changes. So I'm very excited about this squad. I think Terrace Reed looked awesome. I hope he doesn't have. I hope he's not seriously injured there. He played through it, so hopefully that's not too bad.
Wes, I feel like Wes was in the bullpen waiting to get in, and I was going to get to him, but this is the question. I like it. I feel like Malachi definitely played a little scared tonight. Like down the stretch, you could just see the difference between Silas is that dude, and Malachi is the reason why he's a backup point guard. Like, no disrespect, you could just see that he was kind of like he missed a big free throw. He stepped on the line. I don't necessarily know if he is on the line. They don't ever show the replay, so we couldn't tell. Dan doesn't lie to us. Like, in a media availability, he said this, like, in a tough spot, I'm probably going to play both these guys because they're experienced.
Yeah. And
that's why, like, if Braylon's involved, which eventually he will be, maybe he's in there over Malachi, and that's different because he's also a better shooter and can ice a game. Who knows? I don't listen. I'll just say this one last thing, and then I'll let you talk, Tyler. Is like, I don't expect them to be in a ton of these games if they play the way they shot the way they shot tonight. That's why the foul situation was so frustrating. It's like, dude, if someone just looked at this and didn't look at the box, didn't look at the final score, and you looked at how they shot and the efficiency of which they played, what would you have thought the score was? A 10-point win? That's what I would have thought.
Yeah, no, I think that game, at no point was BYU going to win that game until the very end, right? UConn won that game for 36 minutes, and the last 4 or whatever it was, like, but BYU had so much momentum at that point.
Right.
UConn's all new players. Like, it was a pressure moment. They got through it. This is going to be a tremendous learning experience. I agree. Yeah. It's honestly, it's probably good. This is probably a good thing. I got fucked. I got when the line came out 3.5. It came out and I hammered it. So they were up 4, and that guy made that shot. Fortunately, I was able to. I made some live bets and hedged my bet as they were falling apart. But yeah, that was a big basket there. It cost me a lot of money.
Let's go. Joey Bailbonds is in the mix. What's up, Joey? Where are you? You in the dark somewhere? There he is.
Yeah, I'm driving back. Yeah, I'm driving back right now, boys.
Are you driving, or is someone driving you?
No, my brother's driving, thankfully.
Okay, good, because I want you to focus.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So you were there. Talk to me.
Listen, it's towards the end, those first 5 fouls and the first 5 minutes, it really kind of changed the game. Because once we got into foul trouble and once we got into the bonus, that always tightens the game up. And they came out the second half and started making shots. And that's the thing too. I mean, they went from I think not being abysmal 3-point to being like, all right, cool, this is their game. And you saw the fans, and also there was a lot of BYU fans. A
I
lot
told
more than I
everybody
thought
that.
there. Yeah, a lot more than I thought would be. Yeah, but there's a lot more UConn fans there too. But
Of course, but like that is I told people, and so did Aaron Torres on the preview pod of like, hey, listen, BYU fans travel, so don't be surprised if you see a ton of people there.
yeah, no problem.
What was the atmosphere like initially? Like, it definitely felt like a home game. Talk to people about that.
Oh, it felt like a home game. I mean, the first couple of minutes when we were feeling the energy out, and BYU was kind of like, it's a close game, but UConn just pulled away. I mean, the atmosphere was very more UConn than it was, but BYU thought they had a voice in the beginning and towards the end. But
Well,
yeah,
I appreciate you for representing our organization at the TD Garden. So thank you.
always gotta, always repping.
Doing a double dip, UConn football and in basketball tonight. I love it.
Road warrior, baby.
Dude, road warrior. I love it.
Yeah.
Tyler, if the line was 2.5, you still would have lost, man. Like I'm so mad, dude. I'm so mad about that because I got buddies that like I was like, that 4.5 was a good line. Like there's just no way that there should be a 2-point game.
No, it went off at 6.5. It went off at 6.5.
It went up to 6.5.
Yeah. The game it tipped off at 6. Yeah, it was at 6.5 like pretty much since noon. Yeah, I got it in that. Yes, it came out at 3.5, and then 4.5 last night, and then by noon today it was up to 6.5.
Yeah, I gotta start factoring in the fact that UConn gets a shit whistle on whether or not you play the game or not.
It's hard because in the first half we were getting the whistles. And that's the thing too. And then
But it flips, dude. Like that's the thing. Like you never know. Like if it's gonna last. If it lasts a whole game, UConn wins by 30.
Well, the thing is also college basketball has to go to quarters. Like it's shitty when you're in the bonus with 14 minutes left in the game.
So true, and people are so against that, but that's the reality. It's like that's part of it. It changes the entire complexion of the game when you do that.
The women's game went there.
The second half was boring to watch. It was so boring to watch. It was just a free throw shooting contest.
Yep.
But the thing is, Mark, they have to learn how to play through that, right?
Tyler, to your point, I think it's a great point that they're going to learn from this more than anything. On the UConn side, forget about the betting angle. Like, it is actually a good thing that they had this adversity because now they have fuel to be like, listen, guys, the fuck, we should have won this game by 20 points. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Boys.
And my guess is,
I'm gonna go. I gotta go. Yeah.
I know that I heard Hurley says that Mullins is going to get ramped up next week. I'm guessing he's out on Wednesday. I'm guessing they bring him back for the bye game over the weekend. I don't know who it is.
Bryant, I believe, right?
Yeah. So I can't imagine he's going to play against Arizona.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Jacob Furphy was available tonight, but I don't think he was a guy that they thought was going to be like quickly to jump on. So.
Yeah, you don't want to get these guys going in a game like that. Like I'd wait for like a bye game to get them minutes.
We'll see. All right, Tyler, I'm gonna go to my another guy. Do you want to stick around, or are you gonna?
I'll head out. Yeah, it's good catching up with you, and I'll be around for future live shows.
All right, Tyler, appreciate you, brother.
Right, later,
good to see you. Where's OK at? What's up, brother? Talk to me.
Hey, not much to say. I just think that if we could be, above average in free throws, that this game would have been close. It's another game like we've seen it for a while now where we just
8 of 18.
aren't making. Yeah, like we
18 of 27 from the free throw line tonight.
Yeah, but bump that number up and make half those. Like that's your margin. That's like a 15-point margin on this game that just doesn't slip. They keep fouling you. You keep making the free throws. It just doesn't become an issue. And we just didn't have it. Like even Solo, it didn't end up mattering. But if he sticks that like free throw, it's just another point where you have to go like and make an entire other bucket.
Bro,
and it's something that's so fixable too. So
no, I totally I'm all about that. I think for me I was more talking about, and I think Tyler brought this up. It's like if you're not a UConn fan or you're not a BYU fan, the flow of that second half was ruined by the amount of fouls that they called in this game. So yes, on the controllables, I totally agree with you that UConn should absolutely shoot at least 70% as a team, not 67%. So if they make 3 or 4 more free throws, it's, there's your margin. But you still can't get away from the fact that this game gets kind of like flipped on its ear at about the 14:55 mark in the second half. So like, as a coach, I think, and forgive me, I think people will probably get mad at me, but Dan does need to get a better handle on what this team looks like, and if that is something that that needs to be talked about, then he needs to use this as fuel to have them learn about this. Like, it's like, listen, if you're, if the whistle flips like it tends to do, then we need to learn how to handle it.
Well, and like you're absolutely right on that. Like the first half versus how they called everything versus the second, like we just had to let them shoot. Like no contact was allowed, and it felt one-sided because they were making all their shots. But like going from the first half where it was a super fun college basketball game,
Absolutely.
like even when they had guys draped all over Terrace Reed and they called like the jump ball, but yet it's like wrapping around his shoulders, like sure, whatever. To go from that to like now we're in the bonus and you're calling every foul, like we just had to let them shoot, and they were having a great second half of that, and that was just miserable to be on the other side of.
Yeah, to me, like that's a coaching thing, but it's also a decision, right? Coaches don't call timeouts when they see things unraveling when they have leads, or even if the lead is getting a little further away because they feel like they still have contact, right? So like I feel like there's a part of Dan that wants them to figure it out without him, because that's what those great teams that won titles for him did. And he's trying to stick to that blueprint. And if he deviates from that, then, like I feel like he's trying not to be the guy that he was last year, that coached angry. And listen, in this game, who was the pissed off coach? It was Kevin Young. He was the one getting warnings. Like, I feel like I saw some tweets like, how far out of the coach's box do you have to be to get a warning when you're coaching against Dan Hurley? It's like, so I feel like Dan is actually in improving in the mental game of things when it comes to that. So hopefully, I don't know if you remember this, or if anyone in the chat remembers this, but do you remember the whole thing about like how Dan Hurley doesn't win close games? Like, I mean, he won a close game tonight, and like I just feel like this is just another learning experience. People forget he's still in his early 50s. Just because he's won a couple titles doesn't mean he knows everything. So he's got to continue to get better as a coach, and I think a game like this is definitely gonna help him. You still with me, buddy?
Yep. Yeah, I don't hate that the lead slipped away. I really think that his thought was that like eventually the shots will stop. Like they can't be on the run forever. And like I guess kind of true to an extent. Like they didn't end up winning, the shots like eventually did stop. But like you see Alex down there, hands up, doing like textbook, how he's coached, like with the defense, and they're just jumping and shooting over him because you can't like step into him at all. But yet they're pressuring us at like the mid-court line, and we can't even touch them. Like I just don't know. It just doesn't seem, from the ref side, equitable in that sense. But good talking to you. Good game. Good win.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. All right. Champs the Troll is in the building. All right, my guys. What's he got to say? Come on, I hate BYU, but refs allowed UConn to basically jump BYU. Oh, yeah, that's what it was, bro. Good Lord. I'm not even gonna go there. All right, listen, it's 10:30. We got a bunch of people in here. I love that you guys jumped on. This is one of our biggest streams as a company. I'm super excited about you guys, about being on it. If nobody else has anything else to add, I'm gonna jump off because I want to actually have a conversation with my wife. I will say this before I go. On the positive side, you gotta love a couple of things. Number one, to all the Alex Caravan haters, as my buddy Brian D. Novellis says, get the fuck out of here. 8 of 11, 4 of 4 from 3. Played 39 minutes at 21 points. Was as efficient as ever. Terrace Reed, 21 and 8. Silas, I was on a podcast with Steve Cully, Husky Hoops, former football player for UConn, talking about how Silas wasn't It wasn't. He was just asking a question, saying essentially that people were questioning Silas and his production. This is the game that why you brought in Silas. 8 of 11 from the free throw line, 21 points, 6 of 12, made a 3, 7 assists. I mean, he is the quintessential big point guard that they wanted. Look, how this team becomes championship caliber. 2 things. 1, solo ball fulfills the ROI that everyone is bestowing upon him, including our guy, John Rothstein, myself. I love Solo. I think he's a phenomenal player, better person. He's worked on his floor game, but you can't come into a game against BYU in a national stage and shoot 105 from the 3-point line. I'm sorry. You just can't. Also, I know we're without Braylon. Jacob was available apparently. To the people that mentioned it in the chat, there's no Millender, there's no Karoma, there was no Furphy. Only played 8 guys. That if I was in the media right now, in the media room, that would be my first question to Dan. Tough game. You get this lead. Where were the minutes for XYZ player? Why not? Because down the stretch, fouls or no fouls. If BYU makes that comeback, but then you got a fresh Solo Ball, you got a fresh Jalen Story, you got a fresh Alex Caravan, maybe you make a push and you don't have that same kind of ref show because you got guys that are quicker on their feet and they're not using their hands as much. That would be my only thing. I saw a lot of people with ball handle issues. Solo, not the only one. And I will mention this one thing because I've had a really good record of this. Hey, Champy, if you want to bet on Arizona, UConn, you know where to find me, dude. Put up whatever amount of money you want. I guarantee I'll match it and we'll win. UConn is going to win that game, and it's not even going to be close. So holler at your boy. But no, I think for me, my biggest issue is, like, if we're really going to do this and talk about how deep this team is, got to use him. And I know down the stretch, he'll have an 8 or 9 man rotation. Cool. But like, it's still November. We're not even that Thanksgiving yet. And especially, with what they have at their disposal. So still not hearing you come up with a number you want to come out with. So sounds a bunch of like a bunch of pansy shit. You spelled tonight wrong, by the way. Come out with a number. I'll wait. But yeah, no. That would be my only complaint, and that would be my only question to him going into that media room. I do think, though, what I will say is Kebakita being out of this game, I think it actually helped BYU a little bit because he was getting bitched by Terrace early. So the fact that they had to kind of like adjust and bring in, if anything, I think BYU found something in Xavier Staten and Dawson Baker coming in and playing 12 minutes uncharacteristically, or 24 minutes and scoring 12 points because, like, or Dominic Diamande, like these guys that are going to be big, players for them down the stretch. And I hope Kebakita's fine. I'm sure it's a concussion or he's got his bell rung or whatever. They're just being cautious. But I think that actually helped, him help the team kind of figure out where they were going to go. Anyway, love you guys. Man, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like Champy is broke, or he's afraid to put up a number because he knows that we ain't gonna deal with it. Cool. He can have, did AJ DeBonsa play great tonight too, but guess what he went home with? Take that L. Here, I'll give it to you. I'll rub it around a little bit. And Koa Pete is going to have that same feeling in stores. Good night, champion. Hit me up. All right, y'all. Have a great evening. I'll catch you next time on the flip side. Go Huskies.
Let's get it, let's get it. Let's get it, let's get it. Yeah. baby.